Guys, I know you want that Qatar guide so bad. I know you do. Don't even start. It's time. It's time for the Qatar's guide. As you can see, my cat, him, he wants the Qatar's guide as well. I'm gonna show you. Look at him right now. Are you ready? He's ready. He's ready for the Qatar's guide. Guys, it's time. And firstly, we're gonna start with Qatar's moveset, starting with N-Light. N-Light on Qatar's shrinks into G-Light and is also used to get a Q confirm with recovery if the enemy doesn't have a dodge or doesn't decide to dodge. Not often, but there are some times where if you input a frame perfect fast foul, you can get out of N-Light into recovery if you have used your dodge or if the enemy messes up the input timing on the recovery. People use N-Light to catch spot dodges. I don't really do that, but it's a decent mix-up to go for. Sidelight is Qatar's main approach to, combo and shrink starter. Sidelight is Qatar's best approach option. Using it with a dash makes it so you can approach from a further distance than usual, giving you momentum. You can shrink this move into a signature for early KOs. It's also used off the edge to set up gimps. You use D-Light as a shrink starter for the so-called Qatar's infinite loop or half pipe. It's Qatar's second best move in the kit. It's a really good anti-air. You can use it to catch opponents in the air or opponents who have used all their options and are about to land. You can also use a GC Sig after a D-Light to read an opponent's dodge, as you can see in the example I'm showing you currently. Nair is Qatar's best move in the kit. The move is usable in probably any situation you can find yourself in. Examples are catching and juggling floaty opponents, shrinking into other attacks, or gimping your opponent in many possible ways. It doesn't matter if the opponent is on stage or off stage. If they're on stage, there's many possible ways you can use Nair to make them go off stage and zero to dead them. There are two variations of this move that you can hit: grounded Dair and aerial Dair, both options having their uses for different stuff and situations. Grounded Dair used to combo through into D-Light on 5 decks, but not anymore. Not anymore, it's one frame now. And you can shrink it into Sidelight or N-Light if your opponent has used their dodge or if they decide not to dodge. You can use aerial Dair for dodge reads on stage, but it's mostly used off stage. As a gimping tool, it can shrink into instant Nair, jump Nair, or into Sair, depending on the position you are after hitting the aerial Dair. Sair on Qatar's has a really good spike when your opponent is damaged and is a really good Q option to go for if you are off stage and your opponent is trying to get back up on the stage. The hitbox that Sair has is actually insane. It covers way too much and it shouldn't even hit the way it does hit. This is for all the Qatar players out there. Yeah, we take those, don't we, guys? Recovery is used as a move you can shrink into after an N-Light or D-Light and Q confirm if the enemy has used their dodge or if they just decide to not dodge. You can also use it to punish moves off stage or to catch floaty opponents. Ground Pound. Ground Pound is not really used that often. You can mostly use it as an edge guard finisher or as a dodge read tool if you hit a sidelight off the edge and they dodge down or up. Ground Pound on stage can true combo into GC D-Light at 5 decks or recovery and Dair at 6 decks and above. The best way of using this move is to finish a gimp off stage or to surprise your enemy with the move being the fastest ground pound in the game. So if you hadn't got it already, Qatar's is like probably the fastest weapon in the game. So let's give a short recap. Sidelight, unreactable move, use it all the time, start your strings with it, start everything with it. Nair, you can juggle your opponents easily with Nair. Just spam that move whenever you can. D-Light catches jumps, catches floaty opponents, catches opponents that are trying to foul and they have nothing maybe. You can easily catch them with the D-Light. You can use down air as a shrink starter or for dodge reads as well. Recovery, you can catch floaty opponents with that as well, and it's also used to kill. And ground pounds, the move that you won't be using that much, but if you are gonna use it, you should use it as an offstage finisher. N-Light is either used for a combo starter after a sidelight, or you can also use it to kill with the recovery after the N-Light. Also, you can zone your opponents pretty well with N-Lights, so yeah. You're gonna see a lot of people in tournaments do sidelight, N-Light into run away, and yeah. And that is all for the moveset of Katas. And now we're gonna be talking about the true combos that you can get on Katas. The ones that are viable and the ones that are not so viable, but they're still true. When you see a Katas player in ranked and he hits you with a sidelight, he's either gonna go for a sidelight and light or a sidelight downlight. And those are the bread and butter combos for Katas. Sidelight and light is a frame perfect combo. And I think sidelight delight is a frame perfect combo now as well, since the new patch. You can either go for a dash or a chase dodge for both options, but dashing is a lot better because you have your dodge up if you use a dash. If you feel like you know where the enemy is gonna dodge, or if you're like losing by a lot, you can go for a sidelight delight and try to read their dodge, and maybe you can get a 0 to that, or you can just get a lot of damage on them and make a good comeback. But if you just wanna be safe and maybe get a dodge read that is not that big, you can go for sidelight and light and maybe catch an air when they dodge in. Recovery into down air is true on 6 decks and above, and it's kinda viable, I guess, if you use it on the stage and you hit a recovery. You can hit ground pound into recovery only on 6 decks, true. You can get ground pound into recovery into GCD light, true, on 6 decks and above. I'm pretty sure that you need 9 decks now to hit a dare D-light. I'm not sure, but I think it's 9 decks or 8. Ground pound into recovery is a true combo that you can hit only on 9 decks and above. You can hit this thing if you go for it, like if you hit a late sider on its last frames. Recovery into recovery is a string that you can get true on 9 decks only. At least that's what I think. I tried doing it on lower decks and I could not get it true. But it's still a very useful string to do, even if it's not true. A lot of people and a lot of Katar's players do recovery into recovery off the wall in tournaments. Obviously, there's a lot more non-viable combos that exist, but like you do not need to know all of them. Like I myself do not know all of them. You don't need them. Just learn the most viable ones, or the ones that like are gonna work maybe 10% of the time. Yeah. Earlier I was talking about the so-called Katar's infinite loop, or the Katar's half pipe, and it goes like this. And so on and so on and so on. You can also do another variation like this. You do down air G-light, down air G-light, down air G-light, and if they're heavily damaged, you have to use your dash to catch them with the downlight. So it goes something like this, and you turn it around. And that's what every Katas player does in ranked, and you're gonna get hit by that a lot. And yeah, I'm talking to you, yes, to you. You just lost 10 games versus a Katas player, and you don't know how to counter the weapon. Like, what am I supposed to... Watch this guy, it's gonna help you out, I promise, I think. I forgot to say that you have to input a jump in between the infinite loop or the half pipe. So it goes like D-light, jump down air, D-light, jump down air, D-light, jump down air, D-light, jump down air. Keep in mind that Nair has big string potential, so if you hit an air, you can go for a sidelight, or you can go for a D-light as well. Sometimes you can even go for an N-light. Sidelight, D-light, Nair can be a safe string to go for if you think they're gonna jump into the Nair, or if you think that they're gonna dodge up, or any way that you position the Nair. It's a safe option to go for in general. Sidelight, D-light, recovery is the main string that you use for killing when your opponent has no dodge, or when you think that they're not gonna use their dodge. You can also use sidelight and light recovery. There's many strings that you can go for with Katas. It's literally a string weapon. You can play really good neutral with Katas as well, but I like playing Katas as a string weapon, and it's just designed to be a string weapon as well. It just depends on how creative you can be with them. And hey, who knows, maybe you're gonna be an up-and-coming Katas player that no one knows about yet, but you're gonna be pro and win a lot of tournaments. Yeah. Oh, also, that was all for the combos and for the strings. Dodge reads time, guys. Whoo, the part everyone was waiting for. Get ready. Dodge reads. The thing everyone loves doing in the game. The thing that makes the game fun to play. Dodge reads and dodge read punishes. Most of the dodge reads I'm gonna show you are gonna be viable, but there are gonna be some of them that are viable as well, but like quite hard to pull off. So in general, out of these dodge reads and dodge read punishes that you're about to see, you can implement them in your gameplay if you haven't already. You're gonna be seeing the same thing over and over and over again a lot of times in these examples. It's gonna be sidelight, D-light into there, sidelight, D-light. And yeah, that's just the infinite loop. And with Katars at one point, you're always gonna be flowing into the infinite loop when you're going for dodge reads or strings or anything with Katars in general. For the up dodge read that you're about to see, you can do that, or you can extend it even more. You can do a sidelight D-light into downer into GC sidelight, and then they won't have a dodge for a few more seconds, so you can extend the string. You can also go for some crazy stuff like this, but it's not the most viable thing to go for. The opponent can either fast foul, jump, or you can just drop the string most of the times, so it's not really that viable, but it's cool. The dodge read I'm about to do and punish him with is obviously not that viable, but yeah, you can do stuff like that. Obviously you won't be getting the hit every time, I mean the dodge punish every time. Sometimes stuff like this can happen. Yeah, but you know, it's okay, because you clipped him, right? Of course it's okay. Obviously it's gonna be quite hard to get the enemy in the perfect position for you to do that. But if you hit that, like, look, it looks amazing, doesn't it? If you wanna go for big dodge read punishes that are very risky but really rewarding, you have to try and hit the downer at the end of its hitbox, so it's stacked at the literally last pixel, like this. And then you can go for a perfect nair, and after that nair you can either go for a down air if they fast fall or jump down air if they jump. And they will most likely be dead. And even if it's not viable to go for 100% of the time, I'm gonna show an example that it works even in tournaments and even in very high level of play.
That was good.
That was really good. The neutral sig to take it out, but man, stocks are tied up, but the damage is in the favor of Acno by far.
Damage is nuts.
Now neither one of them will be eliminated from this game. They've already fought. Oh my! Okay, yeah, buddy! Woo! Okay.
What a freaking combo! That was so awesome!
All right.
And yeah, doing something like that in a tournament, as you can see, is gonna bring a lot of hype. So yeah, get started. Go lap Katas. And I almost forgot about gravity cancel punishes. If your opponent gravity cancels, you can get either 5 or 6 attacks most of the times, depending on the position you're at and depending on the position your opponent is at. You can quite literally 0 to dead them from one single gravity cancel, as you can see in the examples I'm showing you. You read the gravity cancel first, then you do the 5 or 6 confirmed hits, and after that, what are they gonna do? They're gonna dodge, so you try and read that. And as I was showing you those games and stuff, this takes us to offstage. How do you play offstage with Katars? Quite a hard topic to cover, but I'll do my best. Katars is one of the better weapons that you can play offstage, because you have a lot of stuff that you can gimp your opponent with. You have nair offstage, you have downer on the wall, or just downer in general after a nair. You have ground pound that can secure kills, and that you can reset your jumps if you ground pound close enough to the wall and cue yourself like that. Sair offstage is you abuse this move as much as you can. You're just gonna slap your opponents. You're gonna see them flying. The hitbox is broken, the force is broken. I don't know why it's like this, but abuse this move as much as you can offstage. So now I'm gonna give you some offstage examples of me gimping people, and I'm gonna give you my thoughts, like what I was thinking while doing so. So this first clip you're about to see might seem like nothing special, but I go for a sidelight, then I backdash and go for another sidelight to read his dodge, and then after that I chase him off stage. I know he's gonna fast fall, or I'm just feeling it, and I go for a downer to catch his fast fall. After that, I know he has no dodge and no nothing, so I try and stuff his recovery, and it works, and he dies. In the clip you're watching right now, I read his dodge after the sidelight D-light, and then I go for a D-light down air. He still has no dodge, keep in mind, so I go for one more down air, and now his dodge is up. So he uses his dodge and tries to recover back on the stage with jumps, but I just answer him and he dies. Qatar's offstage in general is how good can you adapt to your opponent? Is your opponent gonna fast fall? Is he gonna jump? Is he gonna not do anything? How many jumps does he have left? Does he have a recovery? Is his dodge up? And this is not only for Qatar, this is for any weapon. You have to be thinking the same way I'm telling you to think right now. As you can see in this clip, my opponent stupidly gravity cancels a GCD light offstage for no reason. So I just nair him, and after that I down air him. So he's panicking. What is he gonna do? He has to jump into my nair, obviously, and I do a nair. And after that I get a chase dodge and recover safely. If your enemy is offstage, in general, just try to put them in a wall spot because they have no stage control. If you're not sure if you can go for a game, just stay on the stage and guard them. Don't let them come on the stage. Enlight them. Delight them. Side is a bit riskier, but it works sometimes as well. And if you get a good setup, just try and go for a gimp. What you need to learn is that you do not have to go for a gimp every single time. Gimps come naturally. And you do not have to rush gimps at all. Gimps come naturally, remember that. If you feel like you're in a good position to go for one, do your best, go for it. But like, do not rush gimps in no cause. Just try and play neutral, try and not let them get on the stage, and just get a better position, because you have stage control and they do not. So threaten them, don't let them come back on the stage easily. Maybe when they're trying to recover back on the stage, they're gonna dodge in a bad way and you're gonna get a free gimp setup and go for a 0 to death maybe. You can get easy 0 to death with Qatars. The weapon is really good off stage. If you adapt to their dodges and the way they play off stage or the way they react when you go for a gimp or for anything off stage, you can get easy punishes and easy 0 to deaths just from hitting one attack. This is one example of a 0 to death. It's not exactly an offstage example, but it goes off stage. I adapt to his up and away dodge and I take him off stage and I do a sidelight into chase dodge down air, and then I do a side air and he jumps into it, and I adapted to him jumping, so that side air hits him. There's a lot more that you can talk about for offstage, like there's a lot more to cover, but what I showed you in this video is like the stuff that most pro players that are good off stage think and go for, and the stuff that you need to go for. Yes, you, I'm talking to you, yeah, you. And that was off stage. Time for neutral, time for on stage tips for Qatars. And this is not gonna be that detailed because neutral needs like a whole video by itself, but I'll try and make it short and educational. So for those of you who don't know, neutral game is when you and your opponent have the exact same amount of stage control, and you're trying to find a hole in his playstyle and your opponent's playstyle, and you try and punish him for that, and you adapt to it and you keep it going throughout the game. How do you approach with Qatars? Like, you don't even have to think about it. Dash sidelight, dash sidelight, dash sidelight. If the enemy is in there, downlight, downlight, downlight. If you wanna zone them, you enlight. People think about approaching a lot, but they do not think about when should I approach. Should I approach? Why not just wait for the enemy to approach you? People ask me a lot, like, how do you approach with a certain weapon? But you don't have to approach always. You can wait. Qatars is a weapon that you can wait out the enemy with pretty easily. But if you've adapted to their options and to how they play when you're close to them and when you're dashing and baiting them to do something, then you can go and approach them with something. Qatars usually out-prioritize a lot of weapons, especially with delight on Qatars, so try and abuse that. Nair, you can just spam Nair in neutral, and most of the times you won't even get punished for it. Down air, I mostly use as a punish tool. For an example, if a lance player is enlighting, you can hit him with a down air from above. I use it to punish that, or to start my dodges and punishes with it. Enlight in neutral annoys the shit out of your enemy. Spamming Enlight in neutral is actually really good because it zones them, and you can go for a D-light after and force them to dodge if they don't use their dodge. I'm literally gonna queue an experimental to show you how to play neutral. We got a mirror match as well, nice. And this is where spacing comes into play. Spacing in neutral is really important. Micro spacing their moves and just knowing when they're gonna go for them and adapting to them and punishing them, you need to learn all of that. On blasters, after a downer on that high health, obviously he's gonna go for a sider, so I dodge it. Spacing your opponent's moves, punishing them, and adapting to the way your opponent acts and plays are the most important parts in neutral. This Lucian does the same sider and I microspace it and read his dodge and hit him with a big punish. He even ends up dying to the same mistake that he did with that sider, but to one arm. Punishing the stuff that your opponent goes for 24/7, adapting to what your opponent goes for. That's how you need to do in neutral, with any weapon, like adapting, punishing, and knowing that he's gonna go for the move, and reacting to that move as well. And at the end of the day, neutral might be boring to some, but it's the most important part of the game, so learn how to play neutral good. Yeah, also that was all for neutral. Yeah, next topic. And now it's time for matchups. Honestly, Qatar's matchups, I feel like there are no losing matchups for Qatar's. I think it's 50-50 with every weapon, or 60-40 for Qatar's. The only two weapons that I'm thinking that might be 40-60 in their favor are Lance and Spear, but I still think it's like kinda 50-50 even with those two weapons. Yeah, the weapon is in a really good spot right now. But at the end of the day, matchups in Brawlhalla do not matter that much as in some other games. I don't have examples, but like in Brawl, you can pretty much like beat any weapon if you're good with the weapon, if you're good enough with the weapon. But it's just gonna be harder, obviously. The two weapons that I think Qatar struggle versus are Spear and Lance. And it's just because of the distance that the weapons cover. Qatars have to be stacked, or they have to hit their sidelights to rack up damage. But with Spear you can just enlight them, and the same goes for Lance. You can just enlight them and not let Qatars get in on you. So I would say 60-40 for Lance and 60-40 for Spear. Gauntlets versus Qatars are a 60-40 matchup for Qatars, because you can just out-prioritize some of Gauntlet's moves. For example, down air, you can downlight that with Qatars and you can easily out-prioritize it, and enlight as well. It's easy to punish those moves with Qatar's moves. So 60-40 for Qatars. So for Axe versus Qatars, I would say 60-40 for Qatars, just because Axe is not that fast of a weapon and Qatars can easily deal a bunch of damage to Axe and get a bunch of dodge reads on the player. Like, it's really hard to punish Qatars with Axe, because Qatars are really fast and it's just hard to catch an attack or to land an attack on the Qatars player. And next is Cannon. The same thing goes for Cannon that it was for Gauntlets. Qatars just out-prioritize Cannon's moves. For example, Sider, you're not gonna be hitting those on a Qatars player. Or Sidelight, you can easily out-prioritize with a Qatar Sidelight. And yeah, it's kinda hard for the Cannon player to fight Qatars in neutral as well. It's actually really hard for Cannon to be played in neutral in general. But yeah, that's why it's 60-40 for Qatars. Sword versus Qatars can be a little bit tricky as well, because it's kinda hard to get in with Qatars, because the Sword player has Enlight and he also has Sidelight, which covers a lot of distance. But in general, it should be 50-50. But if you mess up versus a Sword player, it's gonna be pretty hard to get back in neutral and get the lead back. So yeah, that's it for Sword. And all the other weapons that I'm not mentioning currently are gonna match 50-50 versus Qatars. And let me say this one more time, you can beat any weapon with any weapon. It doesn't matter what the matchup is. If you figure out how your opponent plays, you can still beat them, even if the weapon is has a losing matchup. There are no true counterpicks in this game. There are just slight favors for some weapons. Slight favors, but no true counterpicks. And guys, that is it for matchups. It's time for the last part of the guide, and it's gonna be like a short tier list. And yeah, it's not gonna be even that detailed. Just a short tier list on all the Qatar's legends and where they place in the current meta. But before that tier list, let me say that Qatar's are top 5. Like, all the tier lists, or most of the tier lists that you're gonna see Qatar's being in top 5. Tier lists in general are opinions and pro players' opinions, but most of the times you're gonna be seeing Qatar's in top 5 in most of the tier lists. And I myself consider them a top 5 weapon. in the current meta. And this is where I would place all the Kata's legends in a tier list by themselves. Asuri's Kata's signatures are fairly decent, Ensig being the one that stands out the most. You can get really early KOs if you punish their dodge with an Ensig. The only reason that Asuri is S tier currently is because of the two weapons that she has. She has Katas, which are top 5 currently, and Swords, which is one of the best weapons in the game right now. And you can kill really early opponents off stage if you read the way they try and recover back on the stage, with both of her Ensigs. If you're not able to kill with Katas, you can just delay recovery them with Sword, and that is easy kill confirm. And Sentinel is gonna be standing in S tier as well because of the weapons he has and of the signature he has on the weapons. On Katas, you can rack up the damage easily, and then you can use Ensig to kill them. It kills at a decent health, and you can use it as a dodge read punish as well. Downsig deals 28 damage for some reason. I don't know why. It has a huge hitbox and it deals 28 damage. But yeah, I guess it just does. So the damage combined with the way it spikes down, depending on the angle you hit him, makes it a really good sig. And lastly, you have Hammer as well. So if you can't kill with Katas, you can just stomp sear them, stomp down air them, stomp recovery them, like whatever you want. You can just do whatever you want with that weapon, I guess. And we started off A tier with Ragnir. Ragnir is gonna be in A tier just because Axe is weaker than Sword and Hammer currently. And Ragnir's Kata's signatures kill really early, depending on the position your enemy is at. If you hit a specific signature, like an N-sig or a D-sig off stage, they're gonna die really early. And again, if you can't kill with Katas, you can maybe kill with Axe, so that's what the Axe is for in the kit. Ragnir's stats are also really good, and you can pick the stances you are most comfortable with. Caspian has a good downsig on Katas which you can use off stage, and which is hard to punish if you miss it. He has a decent Ensig which covers from far distance from above, and it gives a fairly decent health amount. The best move in his kit is most definitely his sidesig. It kills really early, and they even buffed it last patch. The only reason Lucien is in A tier is because of his signatures on Katas. He has the best Katas signature kit in the game. Downsig you can kill early off stage, you can spike them off and they can die really early with that signature. Sidesig you can kill pretty early with it, it has a good hitbox and you can use it a lot in neutral if you can't kill in any other way. Make sure not to make it obvious that you're spamming it though. And you can use Ensig for dodge read punishes as well, when it covers a lot, it's a really good sig. And at the end of the day, if you cannot kill with Katas, you can just use blasters to finish them off with a downlight recovery. And there's really nothing much to say about Ember. She has pretty decent signatures on Katas. Downsig is the one that stands out. You can surprise your enemy with downsigs in neutral and get early kills. The one thing about her though is that her Ensig on bow is quite literally busted. That signature hits way too many dodges and covers way too much. And the last legend in A tier is gonna be Meiko. It was quite hard deciding where to put Meiko because not that many people play her in tournaments, but yeah, I would say she stands in A tier. Meiko's Kata signatures are actually really good. Downsig is really hard to punish, even though it got nerfed twice, I think. It's still really hard to punish and it's a really good signature to use. Sidesig on Katas makes you travel a lot and it has decent force on it, and you can surprise your enemy with it. Ensig you can active input that and it kills really early if you hit it off stage. It's a really good signature. Meiko is a bit harder to play than the other characters because she doesn't have a kill confirm on both of her weapons, so it's gonna be hard to get some kills on her. But if you know what you're doing, you're gonna be able to do it. I believe in you. I believe in you. Our one and only B tier legend is gonna be Lin Fei. The reason she's in B tier is because both of her weapons struggle a lot with killing, and Cannon is not in the greatest spot right now in the current meta. There's really nothing special with this legend. We can do some dodge reads with Sidesig and Ensig. She doesn't kill early out, it's really hard to kill with both of her weapons. Her downsig is kinda similar to Ragnir's. I'm not sure which one has more force, but yeah, it's really good to use off stage, like in these situations, when your enemy is trying to get back up. And lastly and least, the worst legend in the game, not even the worst Katas legend, Quinai is the worst legend in general in the game. Sidelight, downlight, you need 5 decks to hit that. And in order to get 5 decks with Queen Eye, you have to use minus movement. And minus movement makes it so you have 2 movement. And who's gonna use that? And that's only because of the last patch. They nerfed downlight last patch, so that's why you have to use 5 decks to get sidelight D-light true. And you cannot get it true on Queen Eye unless you have 2 movement. Don't get me wrong though, obviously her kata signatures have high force, her spear signature have high force as well, but like the legend is just like, it's just unplayable with 5 decks. Oh, I can't wait to play with Queen Eye today. I love playing Queen Eye. And that's the whole guide. Did I answer all of your questions? Is this guide what you were looking for? You can type down in the comments below. Katas, like any other weapon in Brawlhalla, is just the more creative you are, the better you're gonna be with the weapon. So how creative can you get to be? Are you gonna improve with the weapon? Are you gonna do your best? Are you gonna go in training room? Are you gonna go in Brawlhalla and train Katas? Well, all of that depends on you. Thank you for watching this guide, and the guide ends here. Guys, you made it. That was the tier list, and this is the end of the video. Like, if you're still watching this, like, there's gonna be bloopers at the end. So continue to watch the bloopers. But yeah, thank you for watching. It took me so long to make this guide, so I hope you like it. I really hope you like it. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye. I really hope you like it. I did my best. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye. Love y'all. Bye bye. Holy fuck, this shit took me 3 years to do. Oh my god. Yo guys, it's your boy Funky Cheese. What? Sidelight and light. Sidelight and light. Ow. Sidelight D-light is... fuck. Sure, I'm gonna go and see. Recover into down air is true on 6 decks. Wait. Recover into down air. Wait, what? Is that true or not? Recovery into recovery is... fuck. Recovery into recovery is a shrink that you can get. What the fuck was that? You.